Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video, or welcome if you are new. My name is Erin and today is episode 4 of TBR Slasher. So if you don't know, this is my TBR challenge that I'm doing this year. This was definitely inspired by some of my fellow booktubers. They have created so many creative and fun challenges to read their physical TBR, and I wanted to jump on the bandwagon, so I created my version, which is called TBR Slasher. In my version, basically, I have my spinner wheel that has all different kinds of categories slash genres. I spin it 5-ish times during the video, and I get to pick a book that matches whatever category it lands on. That way I can have more control over what I'm reading instead of just mood reading, but also still kind of mood reading. I don't know. I needed more control, so I made it a little bit less set, so that way I can pick any book that matches these categories. Just make it a little bit more interesting that way. The goal is to find a final girl, and hopefully one book that is the winner, the survivor, the lone book that will make it onto my sacred red shelves. Of course, there can be more than one survivor. If you've seen horror movies, you know, sometimes there are multiple final girls in a movie. So sometimes, depending on the vlog, we might have more than one, but there will be an ultimate final girl, hopefully, that is the true survivor and that I like the most. Hopefully a 5-star read. That's what I'm banking on in these videos. But yeah, I'm just trying to read my physical TBR as much as possible this year. I don't know if I'll ever get it down to 0, but the goal is just really to get it read. And I have bought many books this year, so my TBR is much larger now. So we have more options, but also more books to try to get down. I am allowed to DNF. If I DNF, it's obviously not a final girl. Anyways, enough chit chat. Here's the spinner wheel. Let's move it up to the front so you all can see it, hopefully. Maybe I need to turn my camera. Maybe, yeah, okay. We'll do this. All right, so let's spin it, see what it lands on, and then figure out what I'm reading first up. Oh, an arc. Okay. Interesting. That is not what I expected to land on first in this video, but I guess we need to take a gander at my arcs and see what I can choose from. So let's go to the arc shelf and pick what I'm reading. All right, this section right here is my arcs. Obviously not Howl's Moving Castle in that way, but from Witness 8 to here are all the arcs I currently have. I have unhauled some arcs in the last few weeks, ones that I have really let slide and I have not gotten to, and I just don't think I will ever get to. These are older arcs, and these are all the new 2025 arcs. So these ones are old, but I still want to get to them, and these are new. Some of them are past the date though. I am a little behind, which isn't shocking. I'm terrible at reading arcs before they come out. So Witness 8 is a thriller, Any Trope But You is a romance, Quorum House is a thriller, Time Loops and Meet Cutes that's a romance, The Ones We Love is another thriller, Bochica is a horror, Our Last Wild Days is a thriller, 50/50 is a thriller, and then on our old little group here, Love Lies and Cherry Pie is a romance, The Crescent Moon Tea Room is a cozy fantasy, Wildfire is a romance, Let Him In is a horror, A Better World is, a sci-fi? Maybe? I actually don't know. And the main character is a thriller mystery, I think. So this really comes down to what I am in the mood for. I could go for a thriller. I think a thriller would be easy peasy, fast, easy to get through. So if I wanted to get into the thriller mode, I would say Witness 8 is the oldest one for 2025. So maybe I should go with that and try to catch up since that is the one that I'm the most behind on because that came out last month. Maybe we'll go with Witness 8. I feel like I could go for a thriller right now. Why don't we try Witness 8 and get this one going? I think this will be my first dip. Let's try this. Alright, I've come with an update and an entourage behind me, but I've made it 36 pages into this book, and I hate it. I hate every second of it. I don't even want to pick it up. It's so boring. It's supposed to be about this maid who watches someone kill another person, and she knows who it is, so she's gonna blackmail him or something, I don't know. And then you're following these lawyers. It's stupid. I'm sorry. I really liked Kill for Me, Kill for You. I really liked, and this is just not gripping me. It's not sucking me in. I don't care, so I'm gonna DNF. So this is not our final, girl. It can go away. Thank you so much. But we need to spin again, and Justin, my fiance, who's behind me with our daughter Letty, Letty's gonna spin the wheel. No, Justin's gonna spin the wheel for me. So then we're gonna figure out what I read because I need something better than whatever that was. So spin it. Book subscriptions. Oh, okay. So that means I can read any book that was from Book of the Month, Aardvark, or Twisted Retreat, because those are the only 3 book subscriptions that I think I have books in my collection from. So, are you gonna pick?
Oh, that's up to you. Okay,
he might pick, but we'll see. I might give him options, so that way I still have control. But
my free reign.
I'm excited. This gives me more options. I feel more excited about this than this, so I know DNFing was a good idea. So this is just blech. Ooh, that was loud. Okay, let's pick a book. I've given him a stack of books that I think sound good, and I'm gonna let him pick the final one. So we'll go through the options really quick for you all. Hunger Stone, Sky Daddy, Bat Eater, and The Nightingale. Those are the 4 that I think sound the best, which is ironic because it's 2 Aardvark and 2 Book of the Month. So those are your options. You can choose what the final pick is and the one that I will actually read.
Well, I think we're going to pick your next read based purely on the cover.
Okay, I like
First, we have Drama Queen.
Perfect. Me too.
Next, we have
Sky Daddy.
I mean...
Sky Daddy!
Next, we have, you know. If you know, you know.
Oh my god.
Next, we have...
Bats.
Scared Bat.
Oh, he does look kind of scared. Sad.
Scared Dracula, I guess. Vegetation. I think that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think it's like flowers and moss and stuff like that. Is it? Yeah, like leaves.
It's Dracula who's scared of vegans.
Oh, maybe it's a flower. It's an interesting flower. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Keep going.
And next we have, I mean, if you know, you know, you know, if you know, you know.
Oh my god.
So, based on cover alone.
Yeah, which one are you going with?
I think we should go with Drama Queen because
she
looks fabulous. I mean, like, look at her.
She does look fabulous.
She kind of looks like you in the morning, to be honest.
Oh my god, that is me in the morning.
Taking a nap.
Ugh. I'm always sleepy, so. Alright, Hungerstone it is. I'm excited. This is a feminist reworking of Carmilla, the queer novella that inspired Dracula.
Oh, that's what this one is?
It's a Carmilla retelling.
I forgot that's what this one was.
He loved Carmilla.
Perfect.
He loved it. So
I should make you reread it.
I didn't like Carmilla. Sorry.
Because you didn't read it right.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't like it, but hopefully I like this. I'll check in and hopefully it's good. Okay, so I have finished Hungerstone. It took me, I think, 2 and a bit days to finish this, and I was just not in the mood for it, but I don't want you to think that means I didn't like the book, because I actually did like the book. But I don't know what I want to read. I think I picked the worst time to film this TBR slasher because I feel like I don't want to read anything that I'm picking, so that's my own fault. But I actually did like this book. I'm surprised because I didn't love Carmilla, which I know is kind of a wild take. I know so many people love Carmilla, especially people that really like Dracula. I think they really like both of them, but my problem is I've never read Dracula. And I'm very, I don't know if I want to say picky, but I'm just very particular with gothic horror. I think I've come to realize that I do enjoy gothic horror, but I think I like gothic horror when it's written in a modern day. Not necessarily like it's taking place in the modern time, because this takes place in 1888 or 87, 88, something like that. So it's not necessarily modern in timeline, but someone is writing it in the modern day. Like, it came out this year, so it's new. Do you know what I mean? I think my problem is when I read a gothic horror that was written in the past, it's just much harder for me to, I don't know if I want to say understand it, but it's almost like I can't grasp it as well. And I think it's because when it's written when it's written today, it feels more modern, even if it isn't meant to be modern. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I actually did like this. This is a reimagining of Carmilla, and I can't tell if I think people who love Carmilla are gonna love this or hate it, because it does and doesn't feel like Carmilla. You can obviously tell that it's taking inspiration from Carmilla and that there are the bones of the story there, but then it's so obviously its own story, and I don't know if that means people are gonna like it because it feels like a different story. It feels like something else, which I personally like because I didn't love Carmilla. So let me tell you what this book is about. I'm sure if you've read Carmilla, you pretty much know what this book is going to be about, but there are some differences. So we are following our main character, Lenore, which when I read her name, all I could think of was Lenore Dove. If you know, you know. Lenore Dove, oh my god. Anyways, Lenore, she is married to her husband Henry, and she is the perfect wife. She is obedient, she gets things done, she's not too emotional, she does what he needs, you know, she doesn't ask for too much. She's a good wife. We have Henry, on the other hand, who is a terrible husband, which is not surprising because most of the time the husbands are horrible. She's very unhappy in her marriage, but when Carmilla, this stranger, arrives into her life by the way of a carriage accident, and they invite Carmilla to rest and get well at their house. You know, things start becoming clearer to her. Carmilla starts helping her see that her life isn't what she wants, and she's not standing up for herself, and that Henry is not a good person. So this is very much a feminine rage book, so if you love a good old feminine rage story, I think you would enjoy this. It's very, very slow. It is a gothic horror story, so there is a lot of buildup. It takes a lot of time to set up the story and to get you involved with the characters. It's very character driven, which is why I think I did enjoy it more than Carmilla, because Carmilla is so short. It's a novella, and you don't get a lot of time with the characters, and it feels like nothing happens and then it ends. Whereas this one, yes, it's very slow and it takes a lot of time to set up the story and introduce people and whatever, but you get to know the characters. You get to know Lenore. Not necessarily Carmilla. I mean, to an extent you get to know her, but she's still kind of a little mysterious. You get to know Henry to an extent. There are some other characters involved in the story that I think you get to get a deeper experience with. I don't think this is a super in-your-face vampire story. It is a very soft, sapphic, vampiric kind of vibe, okay? Very quiet. It's one of those books where you're supporting women's wrongs and women's rights. I love that kind of vibe. I love that kind of trope. So I think it worked for me. It did, again, take me a long time to get into the story because I think I just wasn't really in the mood for it at the beginning. So I kind of had to ease myself into it, and it took me a little bit of time to like it, but I really enjoyed the ending. I thought the ending was really good, and overall I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars, which is higher than I rated Carmilla, because I believe I gave Carmilla a 3, maybe a 3.5. So I did enjoy this more than Carmilla, which is what I was hoping for. Now, I don't know if this is going to be our final girl. I am hoping to find a book that is higher than a 4-star in here, but this is in the running for our final girl because it's the second book. Actually, the first book I've completed because I DNF'd the first book. So we'll see, but right now this is in the running for final girl because it's the only one I completed and I gave it 4 stars. So we must spin again and see what the wheel gods give me so that I can pick a book. And I hope I get something good because I really don't know what I want to read, and I need something fun and peppy, and I need something to give me a pep in my step. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. An arc again? You're kidding. Oh my god, I DNF'd the arc last time. Oh no, this vlog is gonna be a disaster. Okay, alright. Let's go look at my arcs and let's go look at my arcs. Alright, let's go. Okay, we're back here again. Oh no, I don't know what to do, okay, because I was thinking Bochica, but this is my problem. I've read 2 gothic horror books back to back. I read Blood on Her Tongue before I read Hungerstone, so I feel like that's not smart. Truly, I don't think that's a good idea because I don't want to overwhelm myself, okay? So we have some romance. I could do Any Trope But You. I could do Time Loops and Meet Cutes. I have Wildfire, Love Lies and Cherry Pie over here. Am I in the mood for a romance? I really don't know. But now I'm kind of scared of a thriller because I DNF'd that other one. And now I'm like, what if I'm not in the mood for a thriller? So this is not good. This is not good. This one sounds fun though. It really does. Quorum House by Bailey Seibolt. Inspired by a true story about a crime writer who risks everything as she investigates the mystery of 2 deaths decades apart at a crumbling Vermont orphanage. So, I mean, I really don't want to DNF though. I'm scared. I could read this, Any Trope But You, but I don't know if I'm in the mood for romance right now. I'm not feeling romancy. I'm not feeling that vibe. I'm gonna do this one. I think I'm gonna do this one because I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna pick this one. Let's do it. All right, I am here to report on Quorum House. I did finish it and I read this really quickly, so thankfully it wasn't a repeat of the last arc that I read at the beginning of this vlog. But this is a thriller about our main character, Alex, and Alex is a writer. However, her last book went really, 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 really bad. She writes about true crime. And because of how badly it went, she just feels like she's not going to be able to write ever again, but she takes this job as a ghostwriter. And this lawyer is writing about Coram House, which is this orphanage where there was a lot of abuse reported by the nuns and priests that like worked there. Because she's going to be the ghostwriter, she has to move to Vermont for 6 months to write this book for this lawyer. And she kind of leaves her life in New York, she moves there, and she gets really immersed into the whole history and some of the unsolved bits that are part of the story they're writing. And she starts trying to put pieces together, and things just get a little out of hand after that. I feel like this book was really fast. It was really easy to read. There are some like interviews that you read in between chapters, which was pretty fun. It added a little bit of a difference. It broke up the chapters a bit better and didn't make it feel like such a slog to read through. I will say though, this feels like a very average thriller. I am someone who reads a lot of thrillers, so take that into consideration that I see a lot of the same tropes used over and over and over and over and over again. And a lot of thrillers just run together and feel very samey. And that's what this felt like. A lot of tropes that I've seen recently and in thrillers from the past, I just saw a lot again. She's running from her past, something happened, it uprooted her life, it made her life go off the rails a bit, and she feels like she can't move on, and you know, it feels a lot of the same tropes. She drinks a little heavily to cope with things, which is a trope that we see constantly. I think the plot itself was really interesting because this is based off of true events, off of an orphanage, St. Joseph's Orphanage, I believe, in Vermont. So I did think that the plot was good. I just think it feels like a lot of thrillers I've read before and it doesn't stand out. Like, I'll probably forget this in a couple of days. I'll be like, oh yeah, that one thriller I read. Okay. The twist, I felt like if you've read a lot of thrillers, you'll probably guess it. I didn't think it was anything groundbreaking or super twisty or anything like that. I honestly felt like the ending was kind of anticlimactic because, again, it is something that I've seen before, so I was just kind of like, oh, that's the route we're going. Okay. I was wanting something different, I think. So this is very average for me. I would probably give it a 3.5. Like, I feel like it's good. Like, it wasn't bad. I read it. I enjoyed my time reading it. But I don't think it stands up against some thrillers that do the exact same things and do it better. So it's unfortunately not our final girl. But I am about to film a video, so we need to spin the wheel to see what category we are going to have to pick a book for. So, here it is. We landed on ARCs last time. We've only landed on ARCs and book subscriptions this whole video, so I'm really hoping for something different. So I guess we'll see. Fantasy! We haven't landed on that at all during this series. Fantasy is going to be interesting. Okay, so we will take a look at my books and see which fantasy book I will be reading next. Wow, this is a difference. This is a change. We're switching things up. Okay, so I found some fantasy books that I think sound good right now, but but I also think you all would be interested in me reading. And that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, Moth Eater, Juniper and Thorn, One Dark Window, The Bear and the Nightingale, and The Spell Shop. So those are all my options. They're all like very, very different from each other. I don't know which one I'm going to pick because it could really go either way with me and what I'm feeling right now. I wish I could hear you all talking to me because I feel like some of you are screaming at your screen being like, Erin, pick this one! But I can't hear you. So unfortunately, I do not know which one you are all most excited for me to read, which means I'm gonna have to go with whatever I choose. Okay, so what I decided to do was read the first chapter of all the books and then rank them with which ones I thought were the most interesting and that I want to read right now. So the two that made the best first impression with their first chapters was The Spell Shop and then Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I feel like these two were the most intriguing. This is about a girl and her plant who can also talk to her, but they were having to leave this library because fighting has been brought to the city and the library was going to get overtaken. So they load up a bunch of books and they're in this boat and they're getting away and they're trying to figure out where to go next. And she remembers the little town that she was born in and she knows that she has a house there because of her parents, and her parents are dead now, so it's pretty much her house. So she's taking the books, the plant, and herself to this little village town to keep the books safe. It sounds really cute, feels very cozy. I think I'll like it. This one, I am not super shocked because everyone told me I was gonna like this and I've heard so many good things, but we're following Emily Wilde, who is looking into the Hidden Ones, which is a type of fairy, and she's come to this place in the Norwegian area to study them. And she's just arrived in the town and she's met this guy who's kind of like a little bit grumpy, and he hasn't been like the nicest, but he's not super mean either. But it was really cute. I'm enamored now and I'm ready to read it. The only reason I don't know if I want to pick this is because it is a series. It's a trilogy, so I don't know if I want to read the first book. Well, I guess I could. I don't know. Whatever. Then One Dark Window. This is a duology, I believe. The first chapter, I was learning about this infection that brings on a fever, and then like people's veins like look ink black, and if you get the infection you get this type of magic. Our main character Elspeth has gotten the infection and she's got this voice in her head that she calls Nightmare, and he like talks to her. There's also something about playing cards which I'm very confused about. No idea. I know this does have romance in it. I did think that the romance was between the voice in her head, the nightmare guy, but I have been told that's not true, so disappointing, but I'm intrigued. Then Moth Eater. Moth Eater, the first chapter is from Benny's perspective, and she finds this woman in the water, like drowning, knocked out, whatever, unconscious, and she picks her up and puts her in the bed of her truck, and she's gonna drive her to the emergency room, but then this woman wakes up and she's like kind of feral, acting like she's gonna, I don't know, whatever. She's acting feral, and then she uses magic on Benny, and finally Benny convinces her to like get in her truck and she'll get her food, and she finds that this woman's name is Moth Eater and she's a witch, and Benny doesn't like the coal mine in town because she believes people are dying and her best friend died, so she's trying to get it shut down, and Moth Eater said that she would help Benny. So that was chapter 1. Juniper and Thorn. This chapter was kind of insane. It took me a minute to follow along. We have a dad and his daughters. The dad is under a curse, and the daughters are witches, I believe, and they kind of have this attraction that people like come visit them because it's like, oh my god, they're the last witches of this town, whoa. But they also take care of people and like deal like remedies and stuff to them and stuff like that. So again, intriguing. Not super obsessed by the first chapter, but I'm intrigued. And then the last one is The Bear and the Nightingale. This is also a trilogy. The first chapter really didn't give me much to go on. This is probably the last one because the first chapter was this woman telling all these kids this story about, it was called Frost, and it's about the demon of winter and about how this little girl's stepmother really didn't like her, so she tried to like make her life as horrible as she could, and it just like wasn't working, so she tries to marry her off to Frost guy, and it backfires severely onto the stepmother. And there's some other stuff going on, like you can feel undertones of like there's more to the story, but that was what the chapter is her just telling these kids this folk tale. So this one's at the bottom because it just really didn't give me a lot. That's the ranking. I'm now stuck between The Spell Shop and Emily Wilde's because these two were the best of the bunch from the first chapter, and I feel like I will really like them. So I don't know which one to go with, but one of these two I will be reading and I will give you my thoughts when I'm done. All right, friends, here for a check-in. I finished The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I went with this one because it was the first one I read in my little reading the first chapter, and it's been on my TBR for so long. It's been on my TBR for a while. It's also part of my 25 books for 2025, so I was like, okay, we'll just go with this one. And I'm really glad I did. This was so freaking cute! Oh my god, I loved this so much. I know some people really don't like this, but I think it's just the right type of cozy fantasy for me. I kind of explained what was happening in the first chapter, but in this book we're following our main character who is a librarian. I believe her name is Kyella. I don't know, fantasy names are so confusing to me still. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing them correctly. We all know I don't pronounce things correct the first time anyways, so it could be that. I could be far off. Someone in the comments will let me know. I know they will. So I think her name is Kyella. That's what I was calling her in my head. But if that's wrong, I'm so sorry. She is a librarian and she works with this assistant of hers who is Kaz, and he is a talking magical spider plant. He's very cute, very fun. I loved him so much. These two get swept up in having to save the books in the library because this group is overthrowing the emperor. Places are getting burnt down and it's a mess. So she wants to save the books. They get a bunch of books, they get in a boat and they leave. And they're like, where should we take them? We need to make sure they're safe. We got to protect these books. And so she's like, we can go to this island. My parents used to live there. I grew up there. They're not alive anymore, but we should still have the house and technically it will be mine. So they go to this little town and they're like, we'll just stay here and make a life here, keep the books as safe as possible and kind of lay low. Now, this book reminds me a lot of Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I just read this one recently and they have a lot in common. They have a big focus on books and coziness, moving to a new place, starting over, finding your place, your place in the world, finding the life that you want to live, making new friends, just like also kind of like the running away from a bigger city area and the trouble that's there. They just have a lot in common that way. I really liked this and I really liked this. So I think if you enjoy one of them, you'll probably like the other one as well. Our main character is so funny. She's very awkward. She prefers the company of books over people. She doesn't want to make friends. She's very standoffish. She's kind of rude sometimes. She pushes people away because she just doesn't want to be around people. But these people in the town are so sweet and they really embrace her and Kaz and they really like her and they want her there, and she kind of starts thinking maybe she didn't actually dislike people, she just hadn't met the right people. She also sees that the island is kind of suffering from the lack of magic. I guess it's just not being kept up by the city people that are supposed to come and help and take care of the little town that she's in. So she makes a jam shop. Behind the jam shop, she's also trying to work in some spells to help, you know, her life and the others' lives and make it more comfortable and easy and not as hard. Of course, that's not allowed and it's illegal. So she is doing some risky things, which I think is really fun. There's also a romance. It's not super heavy. The romance is it's kind of just there, but I liked it. I was enjoying it. It's with this guy who she meets the very first day she's on the island, and he's a little aggressive in friendliness, and she's like, whoa, 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 no thank you. But he's so sweet, and she just kind of falls for him and he falls for her, and it's just really cute. It's one of those books where you fall in love with like that slow, easy life, and you wish you could live in there, and you wish you could move into this town and be with the townspeople and have a little business. I love the book part, like how much Kaz and Kiela, or Kyela, or whatever her name is, I love how much they love books and how they take them so seriously, and they're so respectful of them, and they just love reading and getting new information and learning and growing, and it's just so cute. I really enjoyed this book. I'm actually giving it the same rating that I gave Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, so this one is a 4.5, which means that technically it is in the lead to be our final girl. Now, just because it's in the lead does not mean that Hungerstone is killed off. Hungerstone is still a 4, which is a very good rating. I would more or less view them as best friends who are gonna survive the serial killer together, okay? So they're like 2 final girls. We have one more book to read. I have to spin the wheel one more time. So we could end up with a 5-star, and then we could have 3 final girls, you know? Or we could have a 2-star or a 1-star or a 3.5, whatever, you know? All right. We've had 2 arcs, a book subscription, and fantasy. What will the 5th one be? Oh, thriller. Oh my god, that means I'm gonna have read 3 thrillers, a horror, a gothic horror technically, and a fantasy. Okay, this is going to be a very heavy thriller vlog, I guess. So let me figure out which thrillers I'm in the mood for, and I'll show you the options and we'll figure out what I'm gonna read. After perusing all the thrillers that I'm actually interested in and want to read at this moment, I'm going with Every Sweet Thing is Bitter by Samantha Crewson. This is a new thriller I just got from Book of the Month this month. I believe it was it this month? Yes. Yeah. No, it was this month. And this is about the main character who, when she was a teenager, she was like, I guess in a fit of rage, and she ran over her mom, and her mom lived, but she got a felony for it. I guess she's estranged from her family now all these years later, but her mom has gone missing, and she thinks her dad did it because her dad was abusive. So that's all I know about this one, but I'm trying to be better about reading my Book of the Month books sooner. Like when I get them, I'm trying to read them faster instead of let them pile up. So I'm hoping that this one will be like a really quick, fast-paced read. So I'm going to read this one for the last book of this vlog, and hopefully we'll conclude on a high note. If not, this will be a victim, but we'll see. So I'll come back and let you all know what I think. All right, I'm here with my final and complete thoughts on Every Sweet Thing is Bitter. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but we're going to end this vlog on a sour note. I really didn't like this book. I gave you a little brief synopsis when I picked this book, but I'll give you a little more in-depth review. This is about Providence, and She is going back to her hometown after being estranged from her family for 13 years. When she was 17, she ran over her mom with a car, and her mom lived, but she got charged with a felony and went to prison for 5 years, and she hasn't seen her family since. However, her mom is now missing, and so she's going to help in the searches and try to figure out what's going on with her mom. The book is really depressing. The book is really, really kind of dark. It's a lot of abuse and trauma and self-harm, and Providence trying to reconnect with her sisters and seeing what has become of her sisters after the 13 years that she's been away. It's her confronting her father and the abuse that she suffered at his hands. It's her coming to terms with her mom and their relationship and what she did to her mom. It's like a lot. It's very, very, it's not an uplifting book. It's really depressing. It's very dark. And I don't personally find this to be a mystery or a thriller. Like, the only thrilling part is at the very, very, very end. It's like one chapter. There's also alcoholism involved in this book. The one thing that I really didn't like about this book, and I don't know how to necessarily review this portion, because from what I've looked into and seen, this author is not Indigenous, but there is a big focus on reservations and Indigenous people and alcoholism. And while I do think an author who isn't a part of a race or ethnicity can write good characterization and different types of people, I do think it can happen. I do think that authors need to do a lot of research, and they need to educate themselves, and they need to really, really, really look into things before they're going to write stuff. And I didn't see anything from this author that said in the acknowledgments that she did a lot of research or she had people that she knew help her or anything like that. I did not see anything in the acknowledgments about that. So for me, that portion of the book does come across kind of icky. I personally can't say that it's authentic or true or written really well because I don't know. I can't say anything about that. But for me, not knowing any of the research or the thought behind it or the time and effort and energy, and because I don't know any of that, it does come across bizarre. I didn't love that. I just wasn't that interested in the book. I wasn't excited to read it. It was a lot to take in. Again, there's a lot of abuse, a lot of triggers, a lot of trauma. It's a lot to read about, and the main character is imperfect. She's not a perfect person, so it's hard to read. It's hard to read about all these imperfect people who just, I don't know, it's just hard to read about. So I didn't have a good time while reading it. I wasn't enjoying it. I'm giving this 2 stars. It is 100% not a final girl. So, as a recap, our final girls, we have 2 final girls, Hungerstone and the Spell Shop. The Spell Shop is technically our single final girl, but because Hungerstone did get a 4-star, they both survived to the end and will have a place on my shelves, and I will keep them. The others will be unhauled, donated, sold, whatever, and they do not get to live on my shelves forever. Alright, that is going to conclude episode 4 of TBR Slasher. I hope you all enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video and you're enjoying the series, please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That way we can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, fantasy, sci-fi, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!